Bro, what is this production? Oh! Oh my god. That nigga got his brain. Uh-oh.
And the thing that I really appreciate about Tank is he's a dog. That kind of that what he just said. You can put them earmuffs up and go at it. He kind of will assess you as well, and whatever he needs to do, he'll do it.
Jake Paul has responded to the latest sparring and training footage of Gervonta "Tank" Davis that recently went viral on social media, and his reaction has everyone talking. The clip shows Davis looking sharper, faster, and more explosive than ever as he gears up for his next fight, leaving fans wondering if Tank is hitting his prime. Davis has made his name in the lighter divisions. He last fought around 133 to 135 lbs and has never officially weighed over 140 pounds in professional bouts. Meanwhile, Paul is a natural cruiserweight, usually fighting around 200 pounds, and recently weighed that in his bouts. This isn't just a few pounds difference, it's multiple weight classes. When the gap is that wide, many other factors come into play. The heavier fighter often has advantages in durability, power, punch absorption, and leverage. It becomes less about skill alone and more about who can take hits and remain effective.
Something else that's unfortunate is the idea that Jake Paul might actually fight Gervonta "Tank" Davis. This can't be real. When it came up a couple of months ago, I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to cover this because there's no way it's real. There's no way they're really going to do that because it makes no sense. Why would you do that for him? Outside of it, like, okay, you can look at it like an exhibition, which it will be, and we'll take a look at some of the rule set for it. But Gervonta Davis is one of, if not the best, biggest names at 135 pounds and is an active in his prime fighter. I don't want to hear the similar to Floyd and Logan thing because at that point, Floyd was retired. Floyd had done all he needed to do in the sport. Tank is still in his prime, still has multiple high-level opponents that he needs to fight. And you can say, oh, you know, the Jake would be a one-off. Side quest. That's fine, but that just tells me that Tank doesn't care about being a high-level champion in the sport anymore.
Chamomile Moten recently reflected on a sparring session he had with Davis at just 15 or 16. He admitted he was nervous at first, but said the session quickly turned into a chess match. It wasn't all about power, but about timing, speed, and counterwork. Moten noted that Davis never went full force to try to knock him out. Instead, they exchanged angles and rhythm in a strategic manner. According to him, Davis's strength was obvious, but in terms of skill and quickness, they were evenly matched. Moten described the experience as fun, challenging, and an important learning moment in his growth as a fighter.
What was it like when you sparred him? I know you sparred Tank early on. Yeah. What was that experience like? Like, replay that experience for me. Like, you coming out of it, what was your thought?
Yeah, I was nervous at first. I think I was 15 at the time we sparred, so he wasn't really, like, trying to knock me out or nothing like that. But we was going, like, he was using the speed on me. Like, we was both, like, going speed for speed, and it was great. It was like a chess match.
Did you understand in that moment, like, why he is who he is?
Yeah, I seen why he's able to beat these guys. Then I also seen why I'm so, like, I got all this hype around me, too.
Sean Porter defended Davis's decision to step into an exhibition with Jake Paul, arguing that critics missed the bigger picture. For Porter, the fight is less about proving greatness in the ring and more about securing financial stability for Davis and his family. Since it is an exhibition, risks are limited by agreed-upon rules and safety measures, with the main focus on entertainment. Porter emphasizes that fighters often face short careers and must seize opportunities that provide exposure and financial reward. From this perspective, Tank Davis taking such a fight is not selling out, but protecting his future while giving fans a show. Porter's words highlight the balance between purists focused on legacy and fighters thinking beyond the sport.
They're trying to make it safer and, you know, all those sorts of things, but there's still this pureness to boxing that really doesn't exist in sports anymore, but it's still there with boxing. I think that's why people have such a problem with this kind of move from Tank Davis.
Is it more the heart? How do you guys feel being boxers?
Man, like, once you hear the numbers, I'm like, they're talking, like, I don't know the official one. They're talking about like 100 mil.
Oh, damn.
Like, they're talking about these insane numbers. Like I'm gonna be like, don't take that. I'm not gonna tell another man not to take that type of check, especially for something like that. It's not on your official record. It's an exhibition. I'm not gonna lie here and act like I'm not gonna say yes to 100 million or something like that. But I do see exactly what you're saying about the essence of boxing. I wish they would kind of separate it a little more, because exhibitions have always been a thing. There's always been an argument.
Right.
But they're just selling it like a real fight almost.
Right.
So I think that maybe if we could create a better like distinction, more of a difference.
Right.
There might be less hate on it, but at the end of the day, man, I'm not gonna tell Tank not to take that fight.
And I said this last year. I said create a influencer title. And let those guys fight over there in the influencer world. They can live the world and the life of I'm a world champion without having to do something like this. Now, the issue for this that I have is you have a legitimate 135-pound champion fighter getting in the ring with a 190-pound guy, whatever it is that Jake Paul is at. So now we already let's really answer this thing.
In contrast, many believe that despite the hype, this disparity makes the fight more of a spectacle than a truly competitive or fair boxing match. Even promoters seem to acknowledge this. Special safety rules like a catch weight of 195 pounds, use of larger gloves, and treating the match as an exhibition are being applied precisely because of these dangers. For them, the fight is less about weight and more about the fact that Gervonta has faced elite champions. While Jake's resume shows limited experience, they envision Davis starting and landing clean punches and making Jake look clumsy despite the size gap.
Comment about it. My question is, what's the rules, and like, are they gonna actually try and knock each other out? Because it's gonna be a glorified sparring match. I'm not watching, dude. I don't give a fuck.
Jake's gonna have a hard time hitting him.
Yeah,
You know,
big time. Gervonta's so fast and skilled.
Gervonta's gonna eat his.
I thought
guts.
Jake was gonna fight Anthony Joshua. That seemed.
No, that was actually getting.
That
is
sounded
the
more
craziest
interesting.
idea I've ever heard. Jake Paul trying to fight Anthony Joshua is, crazy.
Not a sanctioned professional bout. This means the fight will not count towards either fighter's professional records.
So it's still being finalized.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that.
What is so behind the scenes? You think there are things like, hey, we
Yes.
don't punch each other in the jaw?
Yep. Or don't go. We can punch in the face, but don't go for broke. Like, don't knock me out.
Really?
Yeah. It's an exhibition.
That's
so
not
they can
very
get away
interesting
with
to
it.
me.
No. Until I find the rule sets, but when I hear exhibition, I'm like, okay.
Jake is bodied up, man.
He's big.
Yeah.
Probably has 100 pounds on Gervonta.
Maybe. I'd say Gervonta probably walks at 150.
Oh, he's so small.
So small. I mean, he's really small. Bring up Gervonta Davis next to Floyd Mayweather, because I've seen Floyd in person, and he's tiny. You've seen Floyd in person.
I've worked with Gervonta and Floyd.
Tiny.
Well, Floyd likely has shoes on there.
Oh, dude, he's so small.
He's tiny, guys.
Yeah. I mean, he's so small. Wow. Great fighter.
Chael Sonnen recently criticized Jake Paul's decision to shift focus from Anthony Joshua to a fight with Gervonta "Tank" Davis, calling it a disappointment compared to what had been promised. Sonnen argued that, unlike Paul, Tank isn't naturally gifted at selling fights or building hype. He lets his fists do the talking inside the ring but lacks the promotional instincts Paul has developed over time. While Sonnen acknowledges Tank's undeniable skill and credibility as a fighter, he believes that without Paul's ability to generate narrative and media attention, the event wouldn't gain the same traction. In Sonnen's view, the match's appeal depends heavily on Paul's promotional machine rather than just the clash of two fighters.
It is the exact opposite of Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul for 2. So the fight that was being dangled and rumored in front of us, the exact opposite has happened. The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is not fighting nobody. The opposite of fighting Anthony Joshua is fighting Tank Davis. Okay. So there's one big glaring issue for me. It's just your partner being Tank Davis. Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. It could be a title fight, a contenders fight, a main event fight. He could be the favorite. He could be the underdog. Tank doesn't know how to bring that information to you guys in a way that is compelling. And Tank is already blinking in this situation. You have one guy who is argued amongst the pound for pound current greats in boxing. You have another guy that has suggested he should not even be allowed to box, that he should have to call it something different. He should not be licensed. He should not be ranked in the top 14. He should never be selected for a world title. Okay. Now, Tank has one job to do, which is to let anybody know that's listening that it doesn't make any difference, that boxing is a real sport.
Meanwhile, Davis's perspective on Jake Paul has clearly evolved. At first, Davis dismissed Paul as little more than a loud, attention-seeking spectacle, publicly mocking his claims and treating him like a clown in the boxing world. As Paul began training seriously and gaining legitimacy, Davis's view slowly shifted. He has since recognized Paul's work ethic, mental toughness, and commitment in the gym. While he still doesn't consider Paul elite boxing material, Davis has more recently appeared open to the idea of a fight, influenced by Paul's drawing power and public profile.
How about Jake? What do you think of Jake?
Clown. He's a clown. I know that Jake can't fight. He can't fight. So
would you look at it as a joke if your team was like, yo, we want you to fight Jake Paul? Would you be like,
yeah,
oh, man?
I laugh at him. You want me to fight him? At first, I didn't like how Jake Paul was coming because of how he was making it look. But now that I see that I feel as though he's still a clown because that's his personality. I'm starting to respect it because he's not doing it like for the hype. He was really like trying to be a boxer. I think that he's decent.
Yeah,
like he's good. I mean, he's not good, but he's going that way.
Is he better than you thought he'd be?
Yeah. Gotta be mentally tough to be in the box. So that's why I don't take that away from some fighters or some people that want to jump into the sport. So just show how tough you are. That's how it should be.
Especially after Jake Paul's convincing win over Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Respect for him in the boxing community has grown significantly. The Anaheim event broke venue gate revenue records, surpassing shows headlined by elite fighters, signaling major commercial traction. Esteemed figures like Oscar De La Hoya now see Paul as serious about boxing, suggesting he could genuinely contend for world titles. Even Manny Pacquiao acknowledged that, despite lingering doubts, Paul's dedication cannot be ignored. The fight also boosted his technical credibility, with analysts noting his ability to control the ring and maintain composure in a challenging environment.
Canelo Alvarez fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. We promoted that fight many years ago. Didn't knock him out, couldn't hurt him. So imagine if Jake Paul can hurt or even wobble Chavez Jr. It's something that Canelo didn't do or couldn't do. So Jake Paul, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., it's a real fight. Yeah. Look, people keep talking about Jake Paul, well, he's not a real fighter, this and that. Well, he's fighting a real fighter now in Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. It's going to be a good test for both guys. Obviously, Jake Paul, he's a masterclass promoter in what he does. He's been doing some great things. I mean, Mike Tyson, 60 million people. Fighting Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who, when he trains, when he gets in shape, when he's focused, he will be dangerous for anybody. Look, Canelo Alvarez fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. We promoted that fight many years ago. Didn't knock him out, couldn't hurt him. So imagine if Jake Paul can hurt or even wobble Chavez Jr. It's something that Canelo didn't do or couldn't do. So there's a lot of stories to come out from this, a lot of great stories for Jake Paul. So I just feel honored and proud that we can team up with MVP Promotions, with Jake Paul, and we can make Zurdo Ramirez with Torticos the mandatory. That's going to be a bloodbath in itself, so we're excited.
Jake Paul has officially announced that his second chapter in boxing is just beginning, this time targeting real boxers across the divisions. After defeating Andre August, Paul stated he is moving away from crossover or MMA opponents and focusing on traditional boxing, aiming at legitimate professional fighters. He emphasized in a CNN interview that he plans to face everyone, particularly the toughest challenges where he is the underdog and can prove himself in the ring. This resolve extends to his public platforms and interviews. Paul wants to move past spectacle and truly build a boxing legacy by taking on credible opponents to show he belongs at the sport's upper level.
So everybody's been calling you out, Daniel Dubois, Ryan Garcia, all these people. Who's the most enticing to you?
Oh no, I want to fight them all, to be honest. I just need the time.
So I probably will literally fight all of them. So they're all enticing to me.
However, the large weight difference between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis was too significant to ignore, and Georgia ultimately declined to approve the matchup because of it. As a result, Paul's team withdrew the permit application in Georgia and decided to relocate the event to Miami. This change highlights how complicated organizing big exhibition fights can be. Local regulators prioritize safety, fairness, and risk, not just money. For Davis, being rejected in Georgia underscores lingering skepticism around him. For Paul, shifting to Miami aligns with his style, generating headlines and keeping the drama alive. The move affects fan perception, reshapes logistics, and illustrates how delicate the business side of boxing can be.
There's no way in hell this fight was ever gonna happen. And the fact that y'all believed it, I don't know, you're stupid. So Rick Thompson, chairman of the Georgia Athletic Commission, told USA Today Sports that Paul's promotion company withdrew its request for permits and a rule waiver, citing the 65-pound weight difference between the fighters. The Rick Thompson guy straight up said they've been promoting something they should not have been. Come on, guys, like, use your brains. Y'all boxing fans, you understand this. This fight was never gonna happen. This is the article from USA Today. It says the status of the proposed fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis under scrutiny because of the weight discrepancy between the two fighters. Rick Thompson is coming out and saying this stuff because he said he believes it's in the public's best interest to know that they've been promoting something they should not have been. Communications director for the Office of the Secretary of State told USA Today Sports the event will not be happening. But funny enough, tickets are still available. You could still purchase them online, and the fight is still listed on the State Farm Arena event.
Critics argue that Jake Paul's rise in boxing has relied not just on promotion, but also on a degree of disrespect toward fighters from past generations. They claim that by pulling retired legends into the ring with promises of huge paydays, he undermines the sport's integrity. Even icons like Mike Tyson have been lured back after years away, which excites fans but also raises genuine safety concerns.
Out there taking on Mike Tyson that's pushing 60 years old, for crying out loud, but at the same time pretending to be like this badass motherfucker, sending me DMs talking. He offered me a contract a long time ago, and I was like, what are you doing? I'm a retired fighter and I've got one eye. Why would I want to fight you? I wouldn't lower myself to doing that. And a lot of people do that. They do lower themselves, if you want to say that, because of the payday, because Jake Paul is a big name. He is a social media sensation. He's a YouTube star. And now, of course, in the world of boxing, he's one of boxing's biggest stars because he puts on these spectacles like Paul versus Tyson, like Nate Diaz, because these are the fighters, these are the names that attract the eyes. Jake Paul is the B-side to almost every single one of his fights. When he fought Nate Diaz, people were tuning in for Nate Diaz. His last fight against Cesar Chavez Jr., apparently no one watched that fight. Apparently the pay-per-views were ridiculously low. So this one's going back to Netflix on November 14th, and it's an exhibition bout. Of course, it's an exhibition bout because no athletic commission in their right mind will sanction this fight. There's just no way you can make this a legitimate fight because of the size advantage. Typically, this would be very, very dangerous and someone could get really hurt. If Jake Paul was to swing as hard as he could and connect and wobble him and hit him many, many times and not knock him out, with the bigger gloves and the concussion possibilities and the brain rattling around inside the head, and Jake Paul just teeing off at him as hard as he could, it's dangerous. That's why fights like this can't get sanctioned. That's why this is a exhibition bout and not a real matchup. Now listen, they're both going to get paid tremendously. They're going to make a ton of money and a lot of people are going to tune in and watch it on Netflix. Fair play.
Ultimately, the Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Davis spectacle highlights how blurred the line between sport and entertainment has become. What some see as a mismatch, others view as a high-stakes business move, one that provides both men exposure, big paydays, and new platforms. The weight gap, venue changes, promotional power plays, and debates over legitimacy will continue to swirl around this bout. But for fans, critics, and insiders alike, the real story may be how these two very different fighters handle pressure, perception, and consequences on fight night. Whether remembered as a circus or a turning point in crossover boxing, the impact will linger.
Optically, visually, seeing that go viral, and I mean go viral, and Jake Paul will never hear the end of it.
We're gonna have to help you up. We're gonna have to help you up.
We're gonna see about it.
Help you up.
We're gonna... Because Gervonta Tank Davis is not only a real boxer, he's a real boy. He's 5'5". He's a lightweight. Skills pay the bills. Let him knock out Jake Paul, give him Bambi legs, or knock him down. Gervonta Tank Davis, that moment will go viral, and he will be a far bigger well-known boxer than he is today, and he will also be a hero. And that's the Black True Sugars. That you guys don't want to admit it. Don't bull jive. Think about it.
What do you think? Does this fight make sense, or is it too lopsided to earn respect? Share your thoughts in the comments.